What's going on, Imperials? It's Emperor Cubone here. Items have always played a pivotal role in the Pokémon games. You literally can't catch anything without buying more Pokéballs. And a clutch potion or full heal can get you out of a sticky situation. And they became even more important when you could hold items during battle. But there are always several hundred items in any given entry into the franchise, so you'd be forgiven for not memorizing them all by heart. Even then, there are some items that you might pick up and think it's a glitch for never having heard of them before. Take for instance the item called the Snowball. This is a hold item that raises the holder's attack if hit with an Ice-type move. After this, the item is consumed. Now, I was familiar with other one-off hold items with similar effects, like the Cell Battery, but I was completely unaware of this icy equivalent. I suspect that's mostly due to nobody worrying too much about ice moves coming from actual ice types, on account of their stereotypical frailty. You can find this item in X and Y, but it only occurs naturally on Route 17, the route with the Mamoswine ride, and only then if there's a destroyable snow pile that appears in battle, although it can be found rarely on some wild Pokémon in Gen 7. But you can purchase the Snowball from the Battle Resort in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire with your points. However, it requires 32 BP, which is the same price tag as other really useful items, like the Weakness Policy, Red Card, or Eject Button. So you probably don't want to use up your hard-earned battle points on this more obscure one-off item. But there's another item with a similar function called the Luminous Moss. This is also a one-time use item, but this time it raises the Pokémon's special defense when hit with a water-type move. This is similar to the Absorb Bulb, which is one that I had heard of, but also seems slightly better, since it raises special attack when hit with water instead. That seems like it would be a bit more useful than just the defensive side like the Luminous Moss provides. But it can be found inside the Glittering Cave, again only in breakable rocks inside a battle. But it could likewise be bought in the Battle Resort in Oros, and can be found rarely on the shores of the Alola region. And if you're lucky enough to find a Corsola, there's a 5% chance that it could be holding the Luminous Moss as well. Generation 5 introduced a lot in general, but I was still scratching my head wondering what in the world the Balm Mushroom was supposed to be. Apparently this mushroom smells very nice, so that's good, and it seems that the only possible use this thing has is to be sold. Literally, it has no other purpose. But there are plenty of items like that. I guess they just wanted a special food-based one, because if you take this to an obsessed NPC, they'll pay through the nose for this random fungus. Speaking of which, certain mushroom Pokémon have a 1% chance to be holding this item in the Unova Wilds. So I guess you could try and search for it if you want, but there's much more productive ways of getting money in these games. The Balm Mushroom can be found at the Abundant Shrine, which is pretty cool, but is also in random spots in the Kalos and Hoenn regions, sometimes even in restaurants. But didn't quite make the cut for the Alola region, only being obtainable through the demo version or through the pickup ability. Oh, looks like it was in Pokémon Quest as well? I'll take your word for it, I never played that one. This next item is aptly named, since I was quite unaware that the Surprise Mulch even existed. This item can be found in X and Y by the berry fields, which makes a bit more sense now. But strap in, because apparently there is a whole world of berry farming I never even knew about. See, aside from the Surprise Mulch, there's also the Boost Mulch, which makes berries grow faster, and the Rich Mulch, which makes more berries grow per plant. Sounds pretty good and useful. But the Surprise Mulch causes the berries to mutate. That's right, the age of the atom has come to the berry fields of Kalos, since you can mutate certain berries together like some kind of mad scientist. And there are some berries that you can only get from other mutated berries, creating up to 4 levels deep of berry tree crossbreeding. Oh, there's also the Amaze Mulch, which combines all 3 of these other brands of mulch, making them grow faster, more, and mutate as well. Evidently, there was a whole other part of the game I had no idea even existed. I feel like I missed out on a whole subplot or something. But these mulch items only work in X and Y, since even though they can be transferred over to Oros, their description slyly states, "It appears to be unsuitable for the Hoenn region, and has no effect." Nice. But we all know your stances on their controversial, ethically questionable berry cross-mutating experimentations. Now we come to the item that made me want to do this in the first place, the Fluffy Tail. This was an item introduced in the 3rd generation, very fittingly because it's clearly based on a skitty. So, what does this neat little keychain do? Well, it's said that using the Fluffy Tail allows you to flee from any wild battle. I guess you just dangle it around as a distraction and then sprint away? But what's funny is that that is the exact same function as the Poké Doll and the Poké Toy, which represent Clefairy and Minccino respectively. I'm not sure what it is about plush versions of Pokemon that make them so evasive, but it's some nice consistency. In fact, the only reason the Fluffy Tail exists is because you couldn't find Clefairy in the Hoenn region, so I guess they needed their own thing. But you can still find the Fluffy Tail in the Unova region, even though Skitty can't be found there until the sequels. But you can actually buy all of the plush escape items in the Lily Cove department store in Gen 6, if you wanted the full set. And finally, there is one item that not only had I never heard of, but I just flat out didn't believe it at first. In Generation 2, there was a specific item called the Berserk Gene. If that sounds odd, just wait. This item, if you can even call an errant strand of genetic code an item, can be found in Cerulean City. If you talk to an NPC, he'll tell you about a cave that used to be in town. This, of course, is the cave where Mewtwo was caught the first time around. And then his item finder will activate aimed at the area. So if you surf over to the spot where the NPC is looking, right where you know the cave to be, then you can collect the Berserk Gene. This item will raise a Pokemon's attack 2 stages, but will also confuse them. And just as quickly as you've discovered and used this unique item, it's been used up. Apparently, splicing Mewtwo's corrupted DNA into your own will make you stronger, but does predictably have some adverse side effects. Now, this item can only be found in the original Gold and Silver era games, since in the remakes, the cave was still intact with Mewtwo inside, being the Gen 4 way to obtain the legendary. There were some references to it as a plot point in the Detective Pikachu game, but I'll let you discover the details of how it factors in for yourself. However, since the Berserk Gene was only in Gen 2, back when inventory items didn't even have icons, we don't even know what it looked like. It's just such a strange one-off item that's so intricately hidden in one generation that most people probably never even knew that it was a part of the games. If you have one of the classic Gen 2 games, or even the Virtual Console, go and check this one out for yourself. Those are just some of the crazy obscure items in the Pokemon franchise. What items have surprised you the most? Let me know down in the comments. Also be sure to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe so that you too can become an Imperial today. And we'll see you around next time!